Hello everyone. This is my presentation. It's about traditional Alaska Native living. There are many different groups of natives in Alaska. They all have different traditions depending on where they're located. In multiple ways, the groups are the same. They celebrate live smiths, marriages, and boys for a successful hunt. Although all the different groups of Alaska have their similarities and differences, their main goal is to hunt and to be able to provide food for their family. And the food and hunting helps make clothes and tools. But they all do it differently. I grew up only knowing the traditional Athabascan way of life. I live in the interior of Alaska, 50 miles from my home village, and everything that I know about Athabascan life, my grandmother taught me. My mom's not native, so she doesn't know much about their culture, but my father is. Each summer I would spend in Northway with my grandparents, and I would learn more and live with my mom and help my mom and teach her how to live the traditional Athabascan lifestyle. So when I would spend my summers in Northway, my grandparents would taught me how to fish and hunt some small game like rabbit and grouse. I learned how to bead and make some clothes from animal skin. Athabascan men hunt moose, caribou, bear, and they hunt moose for potlatches for a funeral. It's a celebration of life and a boy's first successful hunt. Women make clothes from the skin of the animals. They pick berries and prepare food and do housework. Athabascans have traditional house types. They're usually raised houses off the ground. They make tools from stones and antlers, wood and bone. They believed that children should be raised by the mom's brother. To teach them the history and customs of our tradition. The Aleut natives are known for fishing in their marine life hunting. They fish from March till November, catching halibut, king salmon, dog salmon, humpback salmon, and codfish. Men do most of the fishing. They would take boats carved from driftwood or cedar. Women and children often caught salmon if they were down at the stream in the shallow areas. They would just grab them with their hands and throw them up on the shore. Seal and whale hunting is necessary to have food, clothing, skin boots, and sometimes shelter. Seal meat provides vitamins and any vitamin deficiencies. When like a large game is killed, it doesn't just belong to the one person who killed it. It belongs to the whole community, the men, the women, children, and elders. They also hunt a variety of ducks. The drake duck mainly, it stays year-round. They also have a tradition where if they went out whale hunting and would throw a pebble into the sea, it was like a charm, and then they would go on hunting expeditions. The person who threw the pebble were always successful. But if the whale that they were hunting comes back just wounded and not dead, the man would go into a hut for 3 days and then he would snort like a whale, and he was not allowed to drink, eat, or be near women. And on the fourth day he'd bathe in water, shrieking and beating the water with his hands. All of this was done so that the whale wouldn't leave the shore. If the animal was not dead by the time he was out of solitude, he would have to return back to solitude and repeat until the whale was dead. They would hunt the whales with spears, and they would grease the spearheads with human fat or portions of a human body. Bodies were tied to them. They were obtained from dead corpses. The Inuit natives, also known as the Inupiaq natives, have used natural resources, materials, social, and rituals for a long time. The subsistence living activity of the North Slope contains hunting, fishing, and gathering. They also have many oil fields on the North Slope that offer many jobs to native people. They don't have many trees up there, so large game isn't really up there as much. They have the women's daily activities are sewing, skin, and crafts. In the late 70s, fishing women helped with fishing and whaling crews, gathering eggs and waterfowls, and a variety of other wildlife. Inuit women, they would make parkas or kuspiks. Women put over their children, put over them, and then their children would go inside with them. Gloves were made from animal skin as well. Their housing situation was usually underground. They would have a tunnel entrance so the cold air would not come in. The male activities usually were trapping. They fished some, but it wasn't a lot. They hunted caribou and bowhead whale. They used large skin boats to go whale hunting, snowshoes to walk across the tundra. They also believed that reincarnation in the recycling of a spirit form from one life to the next in those people who die are names that are given to newborn children. These took place in a house called Ina, and it's twice as big as their traditional house. Successful hunters became group leaders, and women roles would be childcare and food preparation and sewing. I believe they believe that good shaman and healing helped with the process of hunting. A bad shaman would try and take away from the good shaman what the good shaman does. Their tradition consists of organizing, hunting, and gathering. Families would come together and dispersed according to the season. They believed that humans and animals, both female and male, lived and the dead shared personhood. Rituals for the Yupiaq, food sharing and gift giving of life. They believed in a cycle between birth and rebirth is known as reincarnation. Rules and rituals that were used to divert relationship between animal and humans. Yupiaq oral tradition was animals usually process the ability to transform into human-like creatures. They would take this culture would also take a bladder from a person after they died to await rebirth. They would throw it to sea. They also believe that if you're a hunter and you didn't cover up the trace of blood after a kill, that you'd be doomed and would never be able to have a successful hunt again. Women that are pregnant must keep the thought of the unborn child for its well-being. Tlingit women are known for being primary fishing shellfish gatherers, but children and elders as well. They gathered mussels, cockles, dockwinkles, periwinkles, shallots, barnacles, oysters, anything that possibly could be dug up or picked up easily at the shoreline. They used the shellfish for fishing bait and chewing tobacco. They burnt and crushed shells at potlatches. Shellfish collected by women had lower status than fish and game taken than men. Tlingit housing was made from red cedar, spruce, and planks. All the houses had a fire pit in the middle and one smoke hole out the top of the roof. To cut wood for houses, they chipped rocks, bones, teeth, and shell. Clothing consisted of animal fur, goat wool, tan skin, and cedar bark. Their ceremonies, also known as potlatches and feasts. Potlatches were considered formal ceremonies, and feasts were less formal, but they were similar traditions. Potlatches were held for funerals, memorials, honoring the dead, completing a house, wedding, naming a child, and extraction of a totem pole. On the last day of the said potlatch, eating, singing, speeches, and dancing and gift-giving happened. And the last native group, they were the Aleutian chain. They were influenced by the Russians. They hunted seal, sea lion, bird, fish, and halibut. Their houses consisted of a single room with wood or whalebone for the frame, covered with grass and sod. They would enter the house through the roof. They used kayaks to hunt out at sea. Spruce roots and grass were used to make baskets. Their clothes had to be waterproof because of their location. They would dye their clothes and feathers and beaks and everything. Still important that cultures are kinship and family relations. They helped manage the village in daily decisions. They would punish those who violated the rules of conduct of the village. They would trade with Athabaskan and Tlingit to have a balanced diet and to learn more foreign technology. Their traditions and ceremonies included dancing, singing, and festivities. The celebration in late fall after food was gathered and stored. Their first spirit nature would be guaranteed a good hunt and fish. The second celebration is like marriage or other events. During these ceremonies, special clothes, carved wooden masks, and tattoos and body paints were used on people. All in all of these Alaska Native groups are similar, but they're different in their own ways.